Anthony Robbins said, "If you want to be successful, find someone who has achieved the results you want and copy what they do, and you'll achieve the same results." This is a law, and when you've been rather blessed and empowered by anyone who's played the role of a teacher in your life, at least have the honor to give them due credit and to obtain as much of their blessing as possible. Otherwise, you may never know what greater blessings you missed out on. This also affects our reputation. You can be the best copycat in the world, and you may just end up with a reputation for being a big copycat. And be very careful about who you model after. Take a very close look at their finer personality traits because, although it may seem subtle, one of the main ways we learn to duplicate is by simply watching. And although they may seem like the life of the party, I advise you to double check their fruits to make sure they're not leaving a bloody trail everywhere they go, like a social sociopath. When it comes down to the choice between greed or the love of money versus the true purpose of money and enlightened wealth, it takes an empowered person to stay integrated with the tree of life aspect of wealth, what is called enlightened wealth. Giving credit where credit is due also shows grace, as it does when you spotlight or highlight the greatness of other people in your presentation. That shows grace. Interviewing other people, showing their greatness, shows grace and helps us stay balanced with our own ego. We like to showcase our greatest success stories, and some of the more successful people are not so easy to get a hold of. I confess to have emailed Tony Robbins several times over the past couple decades without any response from him until more recently. When I had asked if he would share his story as part of a rather humble ongoing docuseries available on YouTube called The Secrets of Your Internal Fountain of Youth, the response I got back from an assistant was simply that he would not be participating. Well, I actually consider the response from an assistant great progress after having no response for so long. And I may have made some mistakes years back in how I framed the words in my emails. Perhaps I was a bit too pushy or something, I don't remember. But at least I was swinging for the fence. It's true that my father helped him get started on his path in 1978 when he was 18. And about a year ago, I was introduced to Jim Britt and talked to Jim Britt over the phone, who evidently also deserves due credit for helping Tony around that same exact time. And I've always wanted to get Tony's version of the story. Well, about 10 years ago, John Gasparro came to one of my events at a bookstore in West Hollywood called the Bodhi Tree. John Gasparro was good friends with Tony at the time he was 18, which is when he describes his life at that time as living in a cubicle. John walked into Tony's humble living space, looked at him, and said, "Tony, if I had your looks with my brains, I could accomplish anything." And Tony said, "What?" And John said, "I told you, Tony, if I had your looks with my brains, I could accomplish anything." And John got Tony thinking that if he had some brains, he could accomplish anything. This sounds so funny, and I wish Tony could be right here to give his side of it. John then introduced Tony to my father and his work, and Tony was calling my father pretty regular for about a couple months straight. John said the next time he saw Tony, he was selling his first audio series on TV. My father liked to talk, and he was known for consulting people for free on the phone his entire life. And he consulted Tony for free giving him all the answers he could right over the phone. When John first told me this story 10 years ago in West Hollywood, he brought his copy of my dad's book along with him, and he opened it up and showed me how he had it all marked up with notes he'd made from reading it from cover to cover about a dozen times. I've since talked to John Gasparro, who says Tony's never been back to say thank you to him either since that time, nor has he responded to any of his messages. Although he's never been back to say thank you, I do understand that he did make mention of my father in a very early writing he did. Tony receives many offers for many big projects. I know he turns down offers to participate in much bigger projects than the ones I've invited him to consider. He was offered an interview in the new Go Rebound film, which he declined, even though rebounding has been a huge part of his success and has helped him get focus ever since my father introduced him to it in 1978. I've personally interviewed several key people in rebounding history as part of The Secrets of Your Internal Fountain of Youth, and I'm very excited I was able to participate in the new Go Rebound film. But with Tony's busy schedule, he can't accept every offer that comes his way. He has an extremely busy schedule and has a lot to prioritize. Some of the most successful people I know are burning the candle at both ends, and sometimes they lose sight of other things they don't think are as important. It's happened to me before while working on huge projects like this one. And we aren't perfect, but we are passionate about helping people. As this program achieves amazing success, perhaps Tony will come back around full circle. We can always hope for that.